Hello, today I'm going to be trying out a new style of video, which is having a presentation on the screen along with my face cam. I have been reading that if you are reading something like this presentation while also hearing the person talk about it, you have that visual and audio at the same time. It helps you retain more information. Hopefully that's true. We're going to test it out. And today's topic, if you want to stop scrolling, plan your days the night before. I have gone over a lot of ways to overcome your phone addiction, but this is something that I have been personally using recently, which has immensely helped me not only with getting stuff done in my day, but minimizing those moments of going on my phone. We're going to start off with why unplanned days lead to scrolling, go into decision fatigue, why planning removes excuses to go on your phone, the psychological benefit of doing this, and then finally my own system, which is stupidly simple. And to preface, this takes less than 5 minutes a day, genuinely. It's not an entire productivity system. It's just something you're going to start doing for a couple minutes each night. Get into the habit before you go to bed. It is that simple. It made quitting my phone so much easier. Probably not for the reason that you're thinking though. Most people assume that planning helps you because it makes you more disciplined, organized, productive, or more able to be locked in, all of those different things. That is not really the case here. It helps me for a totally different reason, and I'm gonna go and explain that, and you're gonna start noticing this pattern everywhere in your life in so many moments throughout your day. That is what the rest of this video is about, so let's get into it now. Why unplanned days lead to scrolling. This is the core idea of this video. I really want this to resonate with you, and I want you to remember this. Your phone fills empty space. That is it. That is the main enemy here, not the algorithm or the dopamine detoxing, which I've talked about before, not the big tech that wants to keep you scrolling and designs those addicting algorithms. Those things are problems, don't get me wrong, but they're not the main problem in this case. The main thing is that empty space, those empty moments in your day where you don't already know what you're going to be doing. Let me walk you through an example of my case, how my days used to go. A lot of times, obviously, I would have school or I would have work, and I would already have half my day scheduled. Wasn't really a problem there. It was when I got home, for example, didn't have anything immediately on the list, didn't have a concrete plan of what to do. That's where this affected me. And certainly in the summer days or the weekends, anytime I didn't really have school or work, this problem was much worse. I would wake up in the morning and the phone, the stupid phone, was my alarm clock. I didn't have a standalone alarm clock at the time. So stupid thing would go off and I would think, all right, what am I gonna do today first? And in that tiny gap of deciding, I'd pick up my phone just to check something, just to see my messages or my Instagram reels or whatever it was. And then 45 minutes was gone, totally first thing in the morning. Not because the content was super good or entertaining or anything, not because I made an active or conscious choice to waste my morning, but because there was a gap, that little pocket of saying, I don't know what to do yet, and my phone was always right there to fill it. Now you have to apply this concept. I've been talking about the mornings. You have to apply this to your entire day. I don't know your schedule, but I would bet that there are a lot of moments that you could apply this to in your own life. This is something I wish I realized a lot sooner. The morning gap was not special. It was happening to me all day long. Think about every point in your day when there's a little bit of uncertainty, a little bit of a gap there. Right after you wake up, when you get home from your school or your work shift, the space between two tasks, when you just have a little break, something finished faster than you would expect, or the second you finish something and you don't know what to do next. Every single one of those moments has the same shape. The question hanging in the air and in your brain is, what now? And you don't have an answer ready to go. Why does this happen? In that moment, your brain does something very predictable. It doesn't reach for the best option or the most meaningful, certainly not the most productive, or the one best for you. It just reaches for the easiest one, the one that doesn't require any setup, zero effort, zero thinking. And what form is that? What is always the thing that requires no effort? What's the easiest activity available, always in your pocket, one tap away? Well, of course, your phone. You're not choosing it. Your brain is defaulting to it because it's become a habit over so many months or years. That's the difference, and that difference is the key to this entire video. The decision vacuum. Now, this is a term that I have come up because I wanted to give a name for what this moment was, because once you can name it, it becomes easier for you to see it in your own life. And I think this is going to be one of those ideas that I'm going to keep coming back to a lot on this channel. A decision vacuum is any moment where you haven't already decided what you're going to do next, so your brain rushes to fill the gap with the highest dopamine option available. Now, once I had articulated that phrase for myself and had it in my mind, I started seeing these decision vacuums everywhere for so many people I knew and everywhere throughout my own day. I woke up, decision vacuum, okay, I woke up, I don't know what I'm going to do really, just a couple vague ideas, nothing concrete. Finish class, decision vacuum, get home from work, finish a workout and plop down on the couch to catch your breath for 5 minutes, decision vacuum. When you're waiting in line, sitting in your car, you just got home from the gym and you're sitting there, don't really know what to do, or you're eating a meal alone. All of those are examples. Watch yourself and watch the people you know in any of those moments. The phone will almost always come out in those moments. Now, this reframes the entire problem because you're not addicted to your phone in some constant background way like the alarm that's always going off. You're vulnerable to it in those specific moments, the decision vacuums, the unplanned pockets where you haven't told yourself what to do next. The amount of times you scroll in a day is pretty much just a count of how many of these decision vacuums that you have allowed to enter your mind. The real question stops being, how do I use my phone less? And it becomes, how do I have fewer of these decision vacuums? That is a much easier question to answer. And planning tomorrow the night before is one of the best solutions that there is to this, and the best problem that I have found so far. The importance of decision fatigue. I don't hear a ton of people talk about this, and before I get to the actual plan of how to do it, I need to explain the other half, which is decision fatigue. I'm not going to pretend that this is some scientific lecture. I'm not too sciencey. I just know that it is going to affect you, and I certainly know how it's affected me in the past. So that's the framework that I'm going to be using for this, the actual real life effects of this. Every decision that you make costs a little bit of mental energy. Even the tiny ones, especially them, because they add up and there's so many of them throughout the day, such as what I just described. You have to apply this to your own life. Think about what an unplanned morning actually asks of you. For example, what should I eat? What should I work out today? What workout? What assignment should I do first? What work task? Same thing. Do I shower first or eat first? Do I get started on that thing right now? Or do I wait? That is quite a few decisions that you have to make in the morning, and you probably haven't even got out of bed yet. Every one of those is a small withdrawal from your bank account of mental energy, your brain power that you only get so much of each day. You do not want to be wasting it on these frivolous things. You want to have that decided already. The phone, in a sense, solves the decision problem. Not solves as in gives a good solution, but it solves it in the sense that it doesn't require a decision. When you open Instagram, TikTok, or YouTube, or whatever your favorite flavor of doom scrolling is, you don't have to decide anything. It decides for you. It hands you all the content. It hands you the next thing, the next, and the next. It is the path of least resistance in a day full of decisions that otherwise would require resistance. When your brain is already tired from this pile of tiny decisions, and there's a frictionless option sitting right there that requires no more decisions at all, of course you're going to take it. That is not a character flaw. That is just the natural default setting of a tired brain. You are not that lazy. Although I started getting a lot more work done when I stopped letting the phone become the decision, even though planning a day is virtually no effort at all. The amount of effort that this takes versus the amount that it will benefit you the next day is totally disproportionate. It takes so little effort to plan this, and it will have so much benefit to your next day. For years, I thought that my problem was lack of discipline. I thought I was just lazy, or that other people somehow all had more ability to lock in than I did. But looking back, I actually do not think this was the case at all. I did not lack discipline. I just hadn't decided anything yet when I woke up every day. I was walking into all these times. Again, I would have school or work a lot of times, or just stuff to do at a certain time, and that block would already be scheduled. Sure, no problem. I won't be scrolling that much. But on those weekends and on those summer days with an empty plan and a list full of decisions, I would be blaming myself when I got nothing done. Planning removes the excuses, removes the decision vacuum that will give you that excuse to go on your phone. So now that we have the two pieces, which are decision vacuums pull you toward your phone, and every decision drains you, which makes those vacuums even more dangerous, planning tomorrow the night before solves both of these. Let me show you how. First, I want to address a misconception because it almost stopped me from ever trying this and made me quit very soon. Planning is not about becoming some hyper locked in, absolute productivity machine. If you want to do that, it's obviously going to help you, but we're not going to go full military rigorous here. We're not going to schedule the day into 15-minute blocks. I have tried to do that sort of thing. I have autistically listed every single 30-minute block of time on Google Calendar, and I've never had that much success with it because sometimes stuff just takes longer than you think or shorter. It is also very overwhelming and very high effort, which is not something that you want to do when you're trying to fight a phone addiction. You do not want to be overwhelmed. You don't want to quit on day one or week one. We want this to be a feasible, long-term solution. Planning is not about doing more. It's about making the decision, the good decision of what you want to do, automatic. That's the entire point here. You're not adding pressure and adding tons of things into your life. You're removing the choices that you can make that will drag you into that spiral of screen time. The before and after, I want you to envision this scenario. Maybe it'll be the morning like I've been describing, maybe some other time, whatever. Apply it to your own life. The before, I wake up, oh, what am I supposed to do now? Okay, the stupid phone was functioning as my alarm. Just gonna check that real quick. Boom, 45 minutes are gone. Afterward, the planned version, I wake up and okay, I'll turn the same alarm off, but this time I go right onto my notes app. All right, brush teeth, go to the gym, have breakfast, and then edit a video for 2 hours. Notice what is missing in the second one is any moment at all of thinking, what do I do now? It's totally gone. There's no gap for your brain to fall into. Each thing just points to the next thing. You're not deciding anymore, you're just looking at what you decided last night when you were calm and clear-headed and not half asleep on the edge of your bed, all groggy. Just turn off your brain and follow the plan. You from last night was fully energetic, fully alert, awake in the head, and could think clearly about what tomorrow should look like, and he knew what he wanted to get done. You in the morning, the odds are, is basically a zombie looking for the nearest source of dopamine, still half asleep, and wondering what on earth you're going to do with your day. When you plan this stuff the night before, you're letting the smart version of you, or at least the alert version, make all of the decisions so that the tired version of you does not mess up your day before you've hardly even started it. You're not relying on willpower in that moment. You already spent the willpower last night so that you can focus today's willpower on the important things. Let me connect this right back to the addiction because this is the part that made everything make sense in my brain, clicked it into place. My bad. Your brain might be working against you here. Every decision vacuum is a moment where your brain gets to negotiate with you. Do we really have to go to the gym right now? We could just relax for 5 minutes, chill on the couch. We could just watch one video or a couple reels. That negotiation only happens in that moment of gap when you don't know what to do, in the space where you have not decided anything yet. So follow the logic. The less thinking there is, the fewer opportunities your brain has to negotiate with you. Planning does not make you stronger in the argument, it just cancels the argument before your brain has a chance to start one. You cannot lose a debate that you never opened in the first place. That's why it makes quitting your phone and dramatically cutting down the time on your phone way easier. It didn't make me more disciplined, it gave my lack of discipline fewer chances to show up. The psychological benefit of doing this. This is another part that I don't see virtually anyone talk about. The part that I didn't even realize when I first started doing this, and maybe the most powerful element of this entire recipe. It is about momentum. when you complete your very first planned task of the day, even something tiny like making your bed or getting to the gym, something shifts and the second task and all of the subsequent tasks become a lot easier. The third one, even easier than that. The ball keeps rolling. You start telling yourself a specific story, your brain, for real, starts to believe something about you in that moment, which is, hey, I'm actually doing all this stuff that I wrote down. I'm actually having a productive day. I have not had an hour doom scroll sesh. Once that story is running, you want to keep that going. You don't want to mess that up. You don't want to mess up the day and ruin your good day. So naturally, you're going to be a lot more motivated to keep going. Caveat though, be careful because the opposite is also true. This is the flip side, and it used to cook me when I was scrolling in the mornings. The first thing I did, if that happened, that is, if the first thing was scroll for 45 minutes, the story totally flipped around to, oh, I already wasted the morning. I might as well write off the entire day since my day's all off track already. And then the day actually was gone. Not because 45 minutes actually ruins it. Obviously, there's far more waking hours in a day than that. But because the story those 45 minutes put into myself about my own brain. This is what I really want you to understand. A bad decision snowballs, but a good decision snowballs too. It goes either way. The morning is not just a random time, it is a very specific time, and it's the setup for everything after it. It is the first in the series of dominoes to fall. And when you plan the night before, you preload your good first domino, you wake up and the first thing you do is something you already decided was worth doing that you wanted to do, not something that you drifted into in a moment of a decision vacuum. You win the first move, and winning that first move makes it a lot easier to win the second move and the third and the fourth and all the ones after. That is the hidden benefit of planning. It's not really about the tasks specifically on the list. It's that you get to write down which one of those tasks you want to do first, and you get to start the day with a small guaranteed win that's going to set the tone for all of the hours that follow that day. This is why people say, for example, to make your bed first thing in the morning or just do something easy like that, is because it gets that ball rolling. A planned day does not just have more good moments in it. It feels like a day that you're winning, as in getting done everything that you wanted to get done. That feeling is worth more to carry throughout your day than any single one of the things that you actually wrote down on the page. Finally, as promised, my system. Keep it simple, stupid, KISS. You've probably heard that before. That is pretty much the mindset that I've taken into this, what I like to take into many things. This is exactly what I do. As I said, genuinely takes less than 5 minutes a night. Every night before I go to bed, I write a short list. That is it. No app required. If you don't want to use your phone, I get that. I personally use the Apple Notes app because it's very convenient, but a piece of paper works fine too. Totally fine. This is literally, I just wrote bullet points of how my Apple Notes were looking last night. Wake up, breakfast plus supplements, edit 2 hours, have a meal, hit back and buys to the gym, and then go to the post office to drop something off, then spend 30 minutes outside, then come in, take a shower, and have a protein shake. There was more than that, obviously. That was maybe half the day or something, but that is the whole concept. You just do that, you write out your entire day and the order that you want it done in. One thing you may have noticed, this is incredibly important for this to work. No time slots. There's no specific times associated to this stuff. I'm not saying gym at 7:15, breakfast at 8. That is a trap. That, when you miss just one of those times, it throws off the entire day. The whole schedule feels broken. That makes it very easy to give up on this very early. Sometimes stuff just takes longer than you expect. Or you finish something way faster than you had anticipated, and it creates another decision vacuum because you finish something at 8:30 and you're thinking, oh, the next thing isn't scheduled till 9. Boom. You waste away 30 minutes a day scrolling. That's not what you want to get into either. There's no hourly breakdown. There's no morning routine stack. There's no 15 habits, journaling prompts, cold plunge, whatever. If you want all that stuff eventually, it's not going to hurt you. And if you are into all that stuff and you want to write it all down in order on the notes app, that's totally fine. But writing all that detail out is not the point of this video. This is just a sequence, the order of what to do that day, regardless of what time it is. Enough direction that tomorrow already has a shape before it even starts. One thing, for many of you, you will have certain activities that require you to be there at a certain time. Obviously, school and work being the main ones. You might go to the gym and schedule a time with your friend. You might go hang out. You might have a date. You're gonna have stuff at certain times. That is fine. We're gonna get there. Why does this work so well for you, Charlie? What if you run out of stuff to do? You didn't run enough stuff, blah, 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 blah. You have to remember what we're actually fighting is the decision vacuum. So like I said, this list does not need to be detailed. It just needs to answer one question. What is next? Every time that question comes up, it needs to be answered. When you finish the gym, you're not going to stand there in a vacuum wondering what to do. You already know because it's just the next thing on the notes. There's a meal next. Finish that meal, editing's the next thing. You've laid it out for yourself the night before so that morning zombie version of you can just follow them without you having to think, without having to decide, and without giving your brain any of those open gaps to reach for your phone. As I just mentioned, we're going to address those of you whose life is more sporadic, because I have been here. It's possible you have a very chaotic life. This was me back in the day. I used to work a bunch of retail jobs that are going to give you sporadic and different hours each week. No schedule is going to be the same. You're not scheduling your own day down to the minute here. You were just deciding the handful of things that matter throughout the day in those times that you don't have stuff scheduled and what order you want to go in. Sometimes you will not get all the stuff done on your list before work. That's fine. Just come back after the shift. So any of those activities that I just listed a few minutes ago that have set times, that's fine. You can just write that in your app. Okay, 3 o'clock, gym. That's fine. Just do as much stuff as you can on the list before 3 o'clock, and when you get back, just continue like nothing happened. It's totally fine to write the stuff down that is absolutely required to be at a certain time. You don't want to write Zoom call job interview down as just another random task, because the interview is probably going to want you to be punctual there. So obviously, don't be autistic about this. The goal is not a perfect day. The goal is a day that already knows where it's going so that you can use your brain for other stuff, more important stuff, the rest of the day. Fewer gaps equals less screen time. Let me bring this all the way back around. As you could probably insinuate, the main point of this video was not about planning. It was about the idea that you mainly go on your phone whenever your brain doesn't know what to do next. That is the entire game. All the scroll sessions you've had literally in your life, this is crazy, all of them, ever had, they live inside of decision vacuums, or a gap, a pause, an unplanned moment where you didn't tell yourself what came next. Planning tomorrow the night before does not require some superhuman discipline. In fact, it's really easy and very quick. It just takes, like I've been saying, a couple minutes a night. It will close the dozens, even hundreds of those gaps before they ever have a chance to open. Fewer gaps, fewer vacuums, fewer scrolls. Very, very simple. You're wasting your brain power on decisions. I just wanted to reiterate this very quickly and leave you with a reframing, because that's the thing that changed everything for me. You don't have a discipline problem, most likely. The main problem is that you have a decision problem. You've been walking into every day undecided and then blaming yourself for losing a fight that you were never placing yourself in a position to win. Start deciding stuff the night before. You will be shocked just how much of your willpower problem quietly disappears. You do not beat a phone addiction by outmuscling in the moment. You only have, believe it or not, so much willpower in the day, and relying on pure willpower to beat a phone addiction is, I've tried it, trust me, not a recipe for success. You just want to have this very simple system. Make sure there are fewer moments, as few as possible, where that fight ever happens in the first place. Final thoughts. Obviously, if there's one action that you can take away from this, it is to literally go do this tonight. If you're watching it and it's nighttime, do it right now. If you're watching in the daytime, tonight, just take that 5 minutes, write down 10, 15, 20 things that you want to accomplish tomorrow, or it could just be like 3 or 4, I don't know, what your life is looking like, main work tasks. Write them all down in the order that you want to do them in. Just list all that stuff, and tomorrow morning, when you wake up, there's not going to be any what now, any decision vacuums, any thoughts waiting to swallow you and distract your attention. Pay attention to how much easier it is to not pick up the phone. When you do pick up the phone, okay, obviously you're going to have to check your message for a minute, then go right on that Notes app, go do the next thing on the list. Very easy. That's the entire point of this video. That is a decision vacuum. You want to close them with this method before they can ever open in the first place. Thank you for watching. If you liked this new style with the presentation on the screen too, please leave a comment and let me know. I hope that this allows you to retain some information. Remember those decision vacuums, minimize them, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.